Today we're diving into something that might completely shift how you approach your prenatal visits, offering prenatal lactation support. If you've ever wondered, am I the right person to talk about breastfeeding during pregnancy, or isn't that the lactation consultant's job? This episode is especially for you. Whether you're brand new to birth work or you've been at this for years, I want to show you why prenatal lactation support might just be the missing piece in your care, and why it's one of the most powerful ways to boost your confidence and improve your clients' outcomes. When I was a doula, I used to try to breeze past breastfeeding in my prenatal visits, mostly because I just didn't feel like I knew enough. I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't want to overwhelm my clients, and I just didn't want to say the wrong thing. But over the years, I've learned that skipping this part can leave families pretty vulnerable. And as an IBCLC, I've really identified in my years in working in lactation that prenatal lactation support is the most important thing that you can do to step in and really help prepare families to set them up to feel successful and fulfilled on their lactation journey. Over time, I've built tools and confidence to make it really an important part of the way I try to show up and support families. I love when they reach out to me prenatally and ask for a lactation consult, but it doesn't happen that often. But they are working with birth workers and doulas prenatally. And if you're wondering what to actually say when families ask about breastfeeding, I've got something for you. I have created a quick start guide that is the answers to the top 10 questions that your clients will ask you about lactation and breastfeeding. And it's full of simple and practical responses that are going to help you feel more prepared when those questions do flow in. So you can download it using the link that I'll put in the description down below. But let's start by naming what might be holding you back. A lot of doulas worry about not having the right certification to talk about breastfeeding, or not wanting to step on an IBCLC's toes. Maybe an IBCLC has not been so friendly. If you've tried to step in and offer support in the past or ask questions on Facebook groups, I hear this all the time from doulas that I work with, unfortunately. But maybe you feel unsure of what to actually say in a prenatal session that could actually make a difference, or feel like clients just want to figure it out later anyway. And if this sounds familiar to you, you're not alone. But by skipping prenatal lactation prep, we're really missing a golden opportunity to set families up for success before things get hard, before they have a crying, screaming newborn in their arms, before their newborn is hangry and they're sleep deprived. So let's break this down into 5 key things and 5 key lessons that you can help do to prep them prenatally. The first is breastfeeding education doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to teach an anatomy class, okay? You just need to cover the basics. What to expect in the first 24 hours, how milk production works, what a good latch looks like, and how to tell if feeding is going well. For example, walking a client through what cluster feeding might look like can really help them feel less panicked when their baby wants to eat nonstop on night 2. So a common mistake here is thinking that you need to be an IBCLC to talk about breastfeeding at all. And when you do this, parents go into their feeding journey kind of blind. And when things don't go perfectly, they start to assume that something's wrong with them. And we definitely don't want that. All right, the second thing is that you, as a doula, a birth worker, you already are super skilled in making people feel capable. This is one of your superpowers, just helping people believe in themselves, right? So prenatal lactation support isn't about problem solving or solving every problem that they might have in the future. It's really about setting the tone. So saying something like, you've got this, and I'm here if you have questions. Or if things get tricky, I'll be in your corner. For example, you might say something like, if nursing feels uncomfortable, I want you to know that's a sign that you might need to pause. We can reassess what's going on. It's not something that you have to push through, and I'm here to help you troubleshoot. So a common mistake here is assuming that parents aren't going to care or listen until after their baby arrives. But if you don't prep them prenatally, they're more likely to struggle and just feel totally blindsided by breastfeeding and any challenges that come up. And even things that are normal, if they don't know that they're normal, it can really leave them feeling blindsided. Let's dive into the third thing. Prenatal support makes your postpartum visits even more effective. If you lay the groundwork prenatally, your follow-up visits become way more productive. So instead of starting from zero, trying to explain all the basics when they're sleep deprived and their baby's crying, you already laid that foundation. Now you can check in on what you already talked about and troubleshoot as needed. So for example, say prenatally you introduced hand expression. You can help them use it when engorgement strikes up that first day when they leave the hospital or a couple days after their baby's born. That normal physiological engorgement that a lot of families see, you can jump in and help them start using hand expression right away instead of having to start from scratch. So common mistake here is just trying to wing it in postpartum visits and spending more time reacting to the situation than actually supporting. So when you do this, you really miss the chance to be proactive, and that makes you and the families that you're working with almost have to work harder to catch up. All right, let's dive into the fourth thing. You're not replacing an IBCLC, you're really bridging the gap. And there's a big difference between basic education and clinical assessment. So as a birth worker, your job isn't to diagnose tongue ties, for example. It's to give families enough knowledge to know when something's off and when to call in more help. For example, you might say, here's what a typical feeding should look like. This is typical feeding behavior. And if it doesn't seem to match what you're seeing, let's talk about your options. Common mistake here is to avoid the topic altogether because you're afraid of doing it wrong. So if you don't jump in and support, your clients really miss out on key support and on a really important support person when they need you the most. So, all right, let's dive into the fifth one, which is prenatal lactation support helps you stand out as a doula. You know as well as I do that families are choosing between a lot of doulas, and when you include clear, confident feeding support in your packages, you're offering something really tangible and adding extra value to your packages, and it makes your care and your packages more comprehensive, and it even makes your packages and your services a little bit more referable. So you may see more referrals come in as you see happier clients with their experience that they had with you as their guide. So for example, adding a dedicated 45-minute prenatal session or including lactation prep in your packages really helps your packages stand out, and it helps you build deeper trust with your clients. So a common mistake here would be treating feeding as an afterthought, trying to work it into your postpartum visits that are already part of your packages, instead of integrating it as an essential part of your care and really making it stand out as its own separate visits. Offering families even simple prep can make a really lasting impact on their confidence and on their experience. So if you can add in those prenatal lactation feeding consults or prenatal pumping visits to your packages, it's really going to help you stand out. All right, so what can you do right now to start offering prenatal lactation support? First, you can pick one topic to cover at your next prenatal, maybe the first 24 hours, or what a good latch looks like. Just start with something small and that makes you feel comfortable starting to talk about lactation prenatally. The second thing you can do is to create a short cheat sheet or a visual that you can walk your clients through. You don't need a whole curriculum. You can just have something simple that you go through with all your clients to try to help them get ready, especially if you know that they're planning on breastfeeding. And then the third thing that you can do is just practice a little script that you come up with that you feel confident saying. So something like, a little preparation now can make feeding feel less stressful when baby's here. All right, the fourth thing you can do is to reach out to an IBCLC or a couple of IBCLCs near you and ask what they wish more doulas knew, what they wish more doulas covered prenatally. That collaboration is gold, and then you're going to also start to create your referral network. All right, and then last but not least, once you start to feel comfortable with all of this and gain a little bit more knowledge and confidence and tools around all of these topics, you can add it to your services. So you can start letting your clients know that feeding prep is part of your care and that it's something that they can opt into with their packages. So in conclusion, you don't need more letters behind your name to make a real difference. You just need to start. Offering prenatal lactation support is one of the most impactful and empowering things that you can do. And the families that you work with are really going to remember that you were the one who helped them feel ready. You've got this, and if you want more scripts or tips or tools to grow your lactation confidence, Don't forget to like and subscribe, stick around, share this channel with another birth worker. And if you want a quick confidence boost, download my quick start guide where you're going to get those top 10 answers to the top questions your clients are going to ask you about breastfeeding. It's free, it's full of really simple, clear things that you can use right away in your next visit or consult. I'll drop the link in the description below, and I can't wait to see you next time. Let me know in the comments down below which of the 5 suggestions you are going to start implementing into your prenatal visits right now, and I cannot wait to see how you start implementing this.